People think respect is something you ask for, demand, or earn with fancy words. But the truth is more uncomfortable. The more you try to seem respectable, the less respect you actually generate. Maybe you're competent, intelligent, even hardworking, and yet you still feel like people don't fully take you seriously. They interrupt you, they question your decisions, they test your limits. And the worst part? You don't really understand why. What no one tells you is that respect doesn't come from what you say about yourself. It comes from silent behaviors that the human brain reads as authority, stability, and leadership. I've studied this deeply, observed patterns in high-level individuals, and saw the same code repeated over and over. In today's video, I'm going to show you 7 psychological behaviors that instantly change the way you're perceived, without needing to raise your voice, please anyone, or prove your worth. Stick around until the end, because the last behavior is what separates those who are ignored from those who naturally command respect. Behavior 1. Stop over-explaining your decisions. Most people believe that explaining their decisions in detail makes them look intelligent and responsible, but psychologically, the effect is the opposite. When you over-explain, you signal doubt before anyone questions you. It sounds like you're trying to convince, not lead. And the human brain associates leadership with certainty, not persuasion excessiva. Respect doesn't grow from how much you say, but from how grounded you sound while saying it. Here's what's really happening beneath the surface. When you justify too much, you're unconsciously asking for validation. You're saying, "Does this make sense to you?" instead of, "This is the direction." High-status individuals don't outsource certainty. They decide internally first, then communicate externally with calm. That emotional stability is what people read as confidence, even before logic enters the room. Research supports this pattern clearly. A Harvard Business School study from 2017 analyzed executive decision-making in corporate meetings across multiple industries. The researchers observed real conversations, coded language patterns, and measured perceived leadership afterward through anonymous evaluations. Executives who minimized explanations and avoided defensive framing were consistently rated as more competent and trustworthy. The conclusion was simple: less justification increased authority perception by more than 25%. The mistake most people make is confusing clarity with defense. Clarity is about direction and next steps. Defense is about protecting your ego from imagined resistance. When you explain too much, you frame your own decision as fragile, as if it needs permission to exist. Even if your reasoning is solid, the delivery makes it feel negotiable, and negotiable decisions weaken trust instantly. High performers communicate decisions differently. They don't open with long rationalizations or emotional context. They state the decision first, then anchor it to action. "This is what we're doing, and here's the next step." That structure signals ownership, composure, and responsibility. It tells the room that you're not reacting, you're leading. Now pay attention to your own patterns. Notice how often you add explanations that no one asked for, especially under pressure. That habit slowly leaks authority without you realizing it. Elite mindset is subtraction, not addition. When you speak less and stand firmer, people listen more, and respect follows naturally. Behavior 2. Listen more than you speak. And use strategic pauses. Most people think respect is earned by talking well, but in reality it's earned by listening with intention. Talking a lot feels productive, yet it often signals insecurity and a need to dominate the space. High-status individuals don't rush to fill silence. They allow it. And that silence subtly shifts power in the conversation toward them. Active listening sends a strong psychological signal: emotional intelligence. When someone feels truly heard, their nervous system relaxes and trust increases automatically. You're no longer competing for attention. You're creating safety. And safety is where influence is built. People instinctively respect those who don't seem desperate to be heard. There's strong science behind this. A study conducted by psychologists at the University of Michigan in 2016 analyzed conversational dynamics in professional settings. Participants were placed in structured dialogues, and researchers measured perceived intelligence and leadership. Those who practiced active listening and allowed short pauses before responding were rated as more thoughtful and competent. The pauses alone increased perceived respect, even when content stayed the same. The pause is the detail most people miss. When someone finishes speaking, the average person jumps in immediately, afraid of awkward silence. But a 2 or 3 second pause does the opposite of awkward. It signals reflection. It tells the other person, "I processed what you said." That moment of restraint communicates control far louder than words. Elite communicators use this deliberately. They listen without interrupting, let the silence breathe, and then respond with precision. Not longer responses, just clearer ones. This makes their words carry weight. When you speak less but with intention, people lean in instead of tuning out. Start observing yourself in conversations. Notice how often you interrupt, rush, or mentally prepare your response instead of listening fully. Calm, controlled pauses elevate your presence immediately. In a world addicted to noise, stillness becomes status, and respect follows naturally. Behavior 3. Keep your micro-promises. Consistently. Most people think trust is built through big gestures, bold speeches, or rare moments of heroism. In reality, respect grows quietly through small promises kept over time. The brain doesn't measure reliability in dramatic events. It tracks patterns, and patterns are formed in the smallest commitments you either honor or ignore. Every time you say, "I'll send it tomorrow," "I'll follow up," or "I'll take care of it," you're making a micro promise. Most people treat these as optional. High-level performers treat them as contracts. When your words consistently align with your actions, people stop questioning you. They don't need reminders, pressure, or supervision. Your reliability becomes assumed. Behavioral psychology explains why this works. A study by researchers at Stanford University in 2020 followed professionals across multiple teams for 8 months. The method tracked verbal commitments and actual delivery, then measured peer trust and leadership perception. Participants who consistently honored small commitments were rated significantly higher in credibility than those who only delivered on major tasks. Reliability, not intensity, shaped respect. What's powerful here is predictability for the good. Humans are wired to trust what they can forecast. When people know that if you say Friday, it means Friday, their nervous system relaxes around you. You become mentally efficient to work with. That efficiency is interpreted as professionalism, maturity, and leadership. Elite individuals design systems to protect their word. They use reminders, calendars, fixed routines, and strict personal standards. Not because they're forgetful, but because they value reputation. Over time, their word becomes an asset. People move faster, negotiate less, and doubt you less because history already answered for you. Now look at your own behavior honestly. Notice where you casually break small promises and normalize it. Those moments don't disappear. They accumulate quietly. High-performance mindset is about consistency, not charisma. When your word becomes solid, respect stops being requested. It's automatically granted. Behavior 4. Use people's names in conversation. Most people underestimate how powerful a name is in human psychology. A name is not just a label, it's an identity anchor. When you use someone's name naturally in conversation, you signal attention, presence, and recognition. And recognition is one of the fastest ways to generate respect without saying anything about yourself. From a psychological standpoint, hearing one's own name activates specific areas of the brain linked to self-relevance and reward. It creates an immediate sense of connection and importance. That's why people instinctively feel more valued around those who remember and use their name correctly. It's not manipulation, it's cognitive acknowledgement. This principle has been studied for decades. Dale Carnegie highlighted it in his early behavioral research on influence, and modern neuroscience confirms it. A 2014 study from the University of California used brain imaging to observe reactions to personal name recognition. Participants showed heightened attention and emotional engagement when their name was used in dialogue. The interaction felt more meaningful, even when the content stayed neutral. High-level communicators use names with precision, not excess. They don't repeat it mechanically or force it into every sentence. They place it at moments of emphasis, agreement, or recognition. That's a sharp insight, Sarah. Carries more weight than generic praise. The name personalizes the respect and makes it land. In leadership environments, this habit compounds quickly. Team members feel seen, not managed. Conversations shift from transactional to relational. Over time, people associate your presence with acknowledgement and clarity. That association builds loyalty and respect without you ever demanding it. Observe your own interactions starting today. Notice how often you avoid names or forget them because you're focused on your response instead of the person. Remembering and using names is a quiet elite behavior. It costs nothing, yet it signals awareness, status, and emotional intelligence at the highest level. Behavior 5. Admit what you don't know. Strategic intellectual humility. Most people believe that admitting ignorance makes them look weak. In high-performance environments, the opposite is true. Pretending to know everything creates fragility, while admitting what you don't know creates trust. Respect grows when people sense that your priority is truth and accuracy, not ego protection. Psychologically, this behavior signals internal security. Someone insecure needs to appear right at all costs. Someone confident can say, "I don't have that information yet," without emotional disturbance. That calm admission communicates strength because it shows you're not threatened by gaps. You're focused on outcomes, not image. There's solid research behind this. A 2019 study from the University of Pennsylvania examined leadership credibility in decision-making groups. Participants who openly acknowledged uncertainty and paired it with a clear plan of action were rated as more trustworthy and intelligent. The study tracked group perception over multiple sessions and found that humility combined with direction increased long-term respect significantly. The key here is how you say it. Elite communicators never stop at, "I don't know." They immediately add ownership. "I don't have that data yet, and here's how I'll get it." This transforms uncertainty into reliability. You're not stepping back, you're taking responsibility in real time. High-level leaders understand that accuracy compounds. By refusing to guess, exaggerate, or bluff, they protect their credibility. Over time, people stop questioning their statements because they know one thing for sure. When you speak, it's grounded. That reputation is far more valuable than sounding smart in one meeting. Now observe how often people around you fake certainty. Notice the tension in their voice, the overconfidence, the unnecessary assertions. Intellectual humility is rare, and rarity creates status. When you choose precision over ego, respect follows naturally, and it lasts. Behavior 6. Ask questions that elevate the conversation. Most people use questions to stay polite or keep the conversation moving. Elite communicators use questions to raise the level of thinking in the room. The type of question you ask reveals how you think. Shallow questions signal participation. Precise questions signal leadership and strategic depth. Psychologically, high-quality questions shift status immediately. When you ask a question that reframes the problem, people stop seeing you as just another voice. They start seeing you as someone who shapes direction. You're no longer reacting to the conversation, you're guiding it. That guidance creates respect without confrontation. This is supported by research in organizational psychology. A 2018 study from MIT analyzed problem-solving meetings in high-performing teams. The researchers tracked who influenced final decisions and why. The strongest predictors of influence were not speaking time or assertiveness, but the ability to ask questions that clarified constraints and uncovered blind spots. Those individuals were consistently perceived as high-level thinkers. Notice the difference in question quality. What do you think? Keeps things safe and shallow. What's the biggest risk we're not addressing yet? Forces clarity and accountability. The second question changes the energy in the room. It invites insight instead of opinion, and that shift elevates your presence instantly. Elite performers prepare questions in advance. They enter conversations already knowing what they want to uncover. This makes them calm, focused, and intentional. Their questions feel clean, not reactive. Over time, people associate them with progress and problem resolution, not noise. Start refining your questions deliberately. Pay attention to whether your questions open space for thinking or just fill silence. High-performance communication isn't about having the best answers. It's about asking the questions that move everyone forward. That skill alone separates average participants from respected leaders. Behavior 7. Give credit and own mistakes publicly. Most people believe respect comes from appearing flawless. In reality, it comes from integrity. Trying to hide mistakes or take credit for everything creates tension and distrust. People don't respect perfection. They respect honesty paired with responsibility. When you openly acknowledge contributions and own errors, you signal inner strength, not weakness. Psychologically, this behavior activates trust at a deep level. When someone admits a mistake calmly, the brain reads confidence and self-control. There's no scrambling, no defensiveness, no ego panic. That emotional stability tells others you're safe to work with. And safety is the foundation of long-term respect. Leadership research supports this clearly. A 2021 study from the London Business School examined high-performing teams over 1 year. Leaders who publicly credited their teams and took responsibility for failures were rated as significantly more trustworthy and influential. The study used peer evaluations and performance metrics, showing stronger loyalty and engagement under transparent leadership. Giving credit is not about being nice, it's about accuracy. When you say, "This worked because of the team," you remove insecurity from the room. People don't feel the need to compete for recognition. They focus on execution. That clarity creates momentum, and momentum increases your authority naturally. Owning mistakes works the same way. Elite leaders don't dramatize errors or over-apologize. They state what happened, what they learned, and what changes next. "This part was on me, and here's what I adjusted." That response transforms failure into competence. You don't lose respect, you gain it. Now observe how rare this behavior is. Most people protect their image at all costs, even when it costs trust. High-performance mindset chooses integrity over ego. When you give credit freely and take responsibility without fear, people follow you willingly. That's not management, that's leadership.